Hello, I'm Nadia and welcome to Wonder Nut, the YouTube channel where we will be discussing some travel tips and hacks with you guys. And this time, it'll be one thing that we do day in, day out, and of course when we travel, which is to eat. And the dilemma is always, where do we eat? What do we eat? So here are the 5 things that we consider before picking a place to eat when we travel. On the top of that list is meal preferences. If you're a Muslim, you have to think about whether they serve halal food or not. If you're a vegan, vegetarian for instance, same case. But Fendi and I also think about whether we want to have local food or not. So for instance, if we're in Indonesia and we feel like going local tonight, then we might go for nasi padang or bakso, right? But there are certain nights where we're like, okay lah, let's not have Indonesian food and let's go for Mexican, Spanish, or have some burgers and fries. So determine what you feel like having, the types of cuisine you feel like having for that night, and that will be one of the biggest factors for you to pick a restaurant. Here is a very Fendi thing to do because he trusts reviews with his life, and like Google is his like soulmate. So when we're at a certain place, we want to know where to eat, he would quickly just Google where to eat in so and so place, and Google will give you a whole list of restaurants or places to eat at. And what I think is nice is that it's a very quick and snappy way of you to get a brief idea of what the place offers. So it gives you the star ratings, 5-star, 4-star, whatever, and then you can also, it'll tell you what kind of meal or cuisine they serve, whether it's Mexican, Spanish, Indonesian, and they give you even the budget, like how much you are probably to spend at that place, whether it's expensive or not. And this is the one thing that's pretty cool, I think, is that these reviews are from actual people, whether they're local or tourists alike. So you can read up on some of the comments, reviews that are left there, and you get a basic idea of whether the place is good or not. But also, if you know a local from that area, I think it's always good to have a little local insight on whether that particular restaurant is good, or get him to recommend you a couple of places to eat. Here is a cool way for you to be going about your travels. Why not plan your itinerary based on food stops? So I'll give you an example. When we were in Penang, we knew that we were gonna heavily rely on the food destinations. In the morning, have breakfast at a certain roti canai place. For lunch, we're gonna have laksa at Balik Pulau. Have durian in the middle, and then have dinner at Medan Ikan Bakar. But then we'd have to also think about the location, how far is each place from the other, and whether we're actually wasting time by backtracking to the other side of the island and in traffic jam and all that. So whether we'll make it in time, whether we'd have time in the middle to hang out by the beach, to go to botanical gardens, for instance. So I think it'd be quite cool if you plan your cuti, you plan your holiday based on these food stops, okay? So that's location. And here's another thing. I think it's quite important to think about setting, whether you're going to be indoors, outdoors, by the street, at the beach. Okay, think about this, right? If you're in Bali, you'd want to plan at least one meal by the beach to have a dinner at Jimbaran. If you are going to be in Hoi An, make sure you have at least one meal by the river. If you are going to be in Thailand, make sure you have street food at a street market, or buy something from the floating market. If you're in KL, make sure you eat at a mama once at least. So check this off your list, and at least you're not only eating in an air-conditioned indoor restaurant. Like when you're in Japan, make sure you have a meal at least at a sushi place or at a ramen place, so that you get a wholesome experience when you're traveling. This is an obvious one, which is budget. So how much you're going to set aside for meals each day when you're traveling. I think that's very important. From the get-go, before you head to a certain place, you already roughly know that, okay, for one meal, we can't spend more than 50 ringgit, okay? So you make that pact with whoever you're traveling or with yourself. And then by the end of the trip, or towards the end of the trip, you know that, oh, we've got some extra cash to spare, so we can eat something a bit more expensive tonight. So I think it's very important to not overspend on food, because out of all the things you can control budget-wise within your traveling, because you've already paid for accommodations. I think food is one of the biggest thing that you can control. So you can tell yourself, hey, tonight we gotta be a bit careful with our spending and eat somewhere cheaper. But tomorrow, or like by the 5th night, it's okay, we can spend a bit more, you know? Because when it comes to public transportation, you can't really control that. Whatever they set is whatever they set. Activities, I'm sure you have certain things that you want to do and you already set money for that. So I think food is one area of your travel budget where you can actually control it quite a bit. So be careful with that. This last thing on the list might sound a bit weird, but let me explain it to you. Itinerary is, for instance, if you've just landed in a place that you've never been to, okay, and you are gonna decide on what to eat, I think you should, take a deep breath and chill a bit, survey the area first to get a feel of what they actually eat for lunch, dinner or tea, and what's available around the area. And usually when you've just landed at a place, you're a bit disoriented, so you are a bit tired. So go for something convenient, go for something nearer to the hotel, go for something that you don't have to go out of your way to get. And then plan your second, third day. Okay, we have to have that pancake at that place, we have to have that nasi goreng at that place. And usually when you're towards the end of your trip, let's say your second last night, your last night, and you maybe have a checklist, hey, we still haven't had bakso lah when we're in Indonesia, or my god, we spent 5 days in Japan and still have yet to have sushi. You have to go for sushi. So I think that's how your itinerary will determine, or will be a factor to be considered when you're picking a place to eat. And here's another thing. For instance, if you're planning to go for a hike the next day, you might not want to have Indian tonight. You might not want to have something that might give you a tummy ache tonight, or if you know that you're gonna go snorkeling the next day or go camping somewhere where toilet facilities may not be tip-top. So don't have anything that might be bad for your tummy. So that's just a little example that I think you definitely have to consider when you're picking a place to eat when you travel. So I hope you guys have found the list useful. We are just speaking from experience here. I think Fendi and I have had our fair share of going back and forth about what to eat or where to eat, especially when we're traveling, and you know that when you're away from home, you're under a bit more stress, or you're on a tight schedule, tight budget. So that is just the checklist of things that you have to consider before actually feeling happy after filling your tummy. So share in the comments below about if you have some of the things that you consider before you pick a place to eat. We'd love to hear it from you guys. And of course, thank you so much for watching. And while you're here, if you haven't, please subscribe. Till the next video, safe travels!